Where are we here? Where are we? 8 o'clock. Good morning, good morning. So here we are, Sunday morning here in Tokyo. Time for some persuading. It's going to be a bit noisy for the first bunch of our session here today, and then it'll be quieting down as I do quieter work. But the first part is clearly going to be noisy. I was hoping actually this morning I'd get a chance to get some of the noisier work done before the stream, but I didn't get that chance. Also, I've got a bit of a problem here. What's going on with the desk this morning? It's shaking. I've never had that before. Curious. This desk has always been so solid. What's going on? Oh, I see what's going on. The desk feet have warped. How are we going to do this? If you can see it, this whole desk is rocking. The two feet on each side have gone sort of into rocking chair mode. They're no longer straight. I know what's happened. This desk has been living upstairs in a damp environment, or a normal environment. Now it's been in the shop for a month, I guess. We opened a month ago. It's been in the shop, and it's air conditioned totally here, 12 hours a day. This thing has changed shape. Let's see. I guess I got a jam. Excuse me just a minute. I haven't read my newspaper yet this morning, but. It's really changed shape. Look at that, since a couple of days ago. Okay, fix. Sorry about that. Of course, wedge under the leg. Not sure what I should. I'll have a look at it later if I have to plane them flat again or just use wedges. If I plane it, then that'll take away wood. Anyway. Mouse, yeah, right. Okay, let me get to work here. As I said, it's going to be a noisy stream for the first section today. And I'll do the same thing as before. Instead of clearing out the whole block, I'll clear around one of the areas and then go in the middle and do quieter work rather than just do noisy work for an hour and a half. Okay, here we go. Let's go. get its outline this area, then we'll clear the middle. There's the last dots. Here, don't want to get up to her face. Anything that needs my attention here? I don't think so, right? Oh, Mum's there. Good morning. How you doing? Hey, thanks for posting that picture the other day. It was good fun. Thank you. Trying to get lots of walking in, like I'm not these days. Absolutely. Walking or working? The grain on this one is nearly straight, so you'd notice when I carved this way it was against the grain. Now I'm carving this way, it's against the grain. It's almost flat board. So there's no problem as long as I keep the area near the wood clear. It doesn't matter what happens in the waist section here. Okay, try and isolate a bunch of these little islands and then get to clearing them off. Dots, dots, dots. Picky work, but a couple of black dots there. I think I'm not sure what it is yet. So that was what's that? 12 millimeters. So there's a limit to how far I can go inside these dots. It's 12 millimeters wide. This one's 6, so I can get through a lot of the inside. The key block is on the other side of this thing. Key block, I've pasted over a good heavy piece of card. I know it's like a 0.5 millimeter thick card. Just pasted over, not pasted over, placed over and taped down. As long as I'm reasonable, if I have some huge lump here, place this on and bung it around, that's not so good. But I'm being careful about it. And that's all we need really. It's still a flat surface, remember. As long as there's nothing sticking up on the table here, we'll be okay. Home knit by his mom. Of course. My mother's been a big knitter and stuff all her life. You know, we grew up with sweaters and stuff, you know, of course, made by her. And she's knit and given away more doll clothes and baby clothes in her life than anybody else on the planet, I think, you know. There's some fabulous stuff. When my daughters were younger, they got some sets of, you know, my mother would buy a blank sort of doll, throw away the clothes that came with it because they were just nothing, and then make a full suit of clothes for it, a winter clothes, summer clothes, spring clothes. My kids, sometimes it was so overwhelming, they weren't quite sure how to play with it because there were so many clothes for the dolls. See? Back in the early days in Japan, you know, we would have these presents from my mother arrive for my kids, And the mothers in our community would see these things and just die for them. Oh my God, look at that handmade, because they didn't do that. Maybe in the old times in Japan they did, but the era when I had kids here, mothers didn't have that kind of skill. So my kids were the envy of the neighborhood, envy of the mothers in the neighborhood. I've got some photos. I should show those one day. If I think about it, I should get some pictures ready and show you guys the kind of stuff my mother used to make. Let's zoom down. I could zoom in a bit, I guess. What would help, wouldn't it? Something like that. Not quite sure where I am. No. this is the part of the job that you think about the difference between the artist's work and our work. The artist just takes his brush and goes dot. For him, it's finished in a minute, 2 minutes. But for us, taking away everything that's not dots, his 2 minutes of work translates into 2 hours for me. But it's okay. It's part of our job. Okay, let's put the persuader away for a while. I'll put this under the lens so we can get the focus in the same place, and I'll clear out now around some of these dots. There's lots more to go, but let's just do this piece by piece to vary the work a little bit. Put the light on. Let's find a spot where we can focus. Somewhere around here. Hang on a sec, let me zoom in. Okay, is that a bit better? And let's do some more quiet work here. Digging in the toolbox right next to the microphone. Okay, let's have a look. Am I missing stuff here? I don't think so. Let's see. Okay, don't see any conversation. It's missing. Okay, I'll just get to it here. Just pick a random place and get going. A couple of things to do here. Smooth off all the chisel marks, again, so that it doesn't pick up pigment when we're printing. We want no ridges and rough spots on the surface of this work, because that picks up pigment, gets higher and higher and higher, and then we start getting blots on the print. So if you're only making a few prints from a set of blocks, you don't need to do this. But if you're going to make hundreds of prints from any given set of blocks, you have to smooth off all the unwanted areas. So we're still just working up to the knife cuts that I made yesterday morning. So you can see what's happening here. Here's my knife. For example, this one. There's 3 dots that will eventually have to be carved here. Yesterday I just roughed around the outside of them. And now we're roughing up to that point. I'm going to do that the whole surface this way, and then at the very end I will just carve out the actual dots themselves. So 99% of this work is roughing out. Do that part with a laser, I suppose. I don't know, I'm not going to get into trying that sort of thing. As we mentioned yesterday, this roughing out work was probably done by apprentices or older guys in the workshop whose eyesight was failing. Then when the roughing was all done, the top guy would come in and do the final carving. So thinking about that, we could maybe do it the lasers or CNC machines would do the roughing out job, I suppose. Then I would step in and do the final carving. But I just don't want to start that thing. Once you crack that, what's the end of it, you know? Am I in the field of view? Where am I? Do we have a focus problem again with this camera today? Is it focused? Or just me without glasses? I think it's okay. The question, I see the question email. I know it's here. If you send a question to the question box, it should make a chime on this machine here, and I should hear it. I can look in the Twitch questions box now. I see nothing there this morning. I can do a mail check. So Twitch questions should make a noise that I can hear. And questions asked here in the chat, I may or may not see it, because if it scrolls out of sight before I look on a carving day like this, I won't see it. Talking about Cameron. Cameron won't be here today. Today's Sunday. Cameron's never here on a Sunday. Today it'll be me, Kawai-san, and Koizumi-san, Koizumi-kun, I think, and maybe Nakamura-san. Should be 3 in the shop today. It will probably be a very, very busy day. Yesterday was extremely busy, one of the busiest days we've ever had, right through into the evening. I gave up about 9:30. And we could have stayed open longer. There were just people outside, just walking by, strolling around. It might sound bizarre, but even like 9:30 Saturday night, people will come into a woodblock print shop and browse and buy stuff. And what can we do? I can't stay open until midnight. It's pointless. But people are out there. It's the standard Tokyo problem. In the evening, there's nothing to do for tourists other than go to a bar. This really is a two-way block. It's a flat piece of wood, so it doesn't want to carve either way, you know. I'd much prefer a block that had strong grain in one direction. It makes it difficult to carve against it, but at least you know where you are. This block is almost flat grain, which means both ways are tough. It won't make any difference to the finished print, but clearing like this means which way, round and around and around. We had a funny one in the shop yesterday. I screwed up pretty badly with a group of people that were here. I don't think they were too upset with me, but whatever. There was we had reservations all full yesterday. There was 10 o'clock people, 1 o'clock people, and we had a group of 5 booked in at 2:30. There were 5 people from the Netherlands. So no problem. We were waiting for them. The 1 o'clock party is still going on. I think Kawai-san was doing it, the 1 o'clock party. And a group of 5 people wandered in the door. And they were very, very tall, and I heard them talking, and there they were. They were from the Netherlands, or perhaps Belgium or something, so I can't tell the difference. So when they came in, I asked Lee, you're here for the 2:30 party, right? And she said, yes. So I said, well, you're still a bit early. The other people are still doing theirs, so let's just hang on. Let's relax for a while. She said, okay, no problem. And what it was a couple with their 3 sort of older teenage boys. Maybe the boys were 18, 20, 22, something like that. And they did not want to be here. They were on their phones. They were looking at everything else. The last thing they wanted to do was a woodblock printmaking workshop. So no problem. This is not my situation. We'll try and deal with it once we get into the room, because we can make it interesting for them or whatever. Anyway, they look around. They're looking at prints, waiting for things to go on. And then she comes to the counter, and the boys had actually had been looking in to watch the current party going on. And I guess they'd gone to their mother and said, look, I want to be out of here. I don't want to do this. I didn't hear that part of the conversation. So I didn't really know what was going on. She comes to the counter and says, that's the print party experience that happens in there, right? Is that what's going on right now? And I said, yes, that's right. You were in at 2:30, right? And she says, oh, no, cancel, please. So I'm like, okay, this is now 10 minutes before you do to start, but okay, whatever. So I put on a kind of a cold face and went to the computer and knocked out the reservation, canceled it. And I wasn't really so happy, because here we are, 10 minutes before the session. We're sold out with the print parties, and now nobody else can book online. Nobody else is going to find it in the next 10 minutes. Then they buy a couple of prints, actually, and I'm cold-faced, not so friendly, but what are you going to do? Whatever. And they leave. And then, like at 2:29, in the door comes 5 people, kind of tall. Turns out they're from the Netherlands, and they are here for the 2:30 party as a reserve months ago. So this is the normal reservation. The previous group hadn't actually had any party reservation at all. There was no reason for anybody to be canceling. I think what they had done is they had looked into it, looked online, and when I asked her, are you here for the 2:30 party? She and I misunderstood what we were talking about. I thought, are you the people who have made the reservation for the party? And she thought I was just talking about it in general or whatever. So there was no reason for them to cancel. They did. Or for me to be cold to them. They hadn't made a reservation. So I have to be careful, don't get angry at people, don't get upset at people, try not to be cold for people, just shrug your shoulders and fly with it, because it's just as likely to be my misunderstanding as it is to be anything else. So after that next 2:30 party was over by the people from Holland who had a great time, I walked out into the streets nearby to see if perhaps those other people were still around. I could whatever, a little bit apologize to them or something, or say something, but I couldn't find it. So anyway, there's a family of 5 out there who were in Tokyo. I'm thinking, that Dave guy, he's pretty cool, pretty cold. So, give me the odds though. A family of 5 from the Netherlands at the same time of day who had looked at thinking about making a reservation. I'm like, come on, give me the odds on that. I heard the question, Basser, so let's have a look at the question. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, one thing first. Question. I'm not quite sure what it is. It's a long comment here. Can I see the back of your needle tool? Can you see the back of my needle tool? This is the needle tool. Let me get back to my view window here. What are we asking? It's a piece of wood with a hole drilled in, and I tapped in a big sewing machine needle. The sewing machine needle has, I think you can see it. I'll try and get this to the light so you can see what's going on. Okay, there we are, bingo. The sewing machine needle had a groove down it, and that's where the thread would have come up. I chopped off the end of the sewing machine needle that had a hole in, the part that pushes the thread through the fabric. So I cut off the hole. There would have been a piece of needle up here, which is now gone. So the thread would have come up the center of the needle, would have gone out the hole and then away and around. So what I've done is I've filed the needle a little bit flat on one surface, the part you can see. The surface is fairly flat. Then if I turn it over so you can see the other side, there you are. It's a sort of bevel. Again, I just filed the steel into a, where am I get the angle right here? No, wrong angle. Here. Filed the steel into a bevel. So we've got a round back. You see it? A rounded back with a bevel on it, and then a flat top. So it's an imitation of an ice ski. Let me just replace that with one of the ice ski chisels. They have a flat surface, and then on the other side, the back is actually, it's a bit angled, it's not rounded, but it doesn't matter. And then the beveled part of the blade is rounded. And someone's asking, are you using it upside down? Well, what's your definition of it? This isn't a woodworking chisel that would be used like a tenon chisel or something. This is an ice ski, a bullnose chisel. And for us, the bevel slides on the wood and the flat surface stays on top. So for me, it's not upside down. If you have the use for this chisel in another world, it might be upside down. I don't know. So the back of the bevel becomes hugely polished from being rubbed against this wood all the time. So that's a real ice ski, and then the little sewing machine needle is an imitation of that shape. It's got the flat surface on the top, and then flipping them over, the rounded surface on the back. But it's no big deal. This thing, I said, it's not a chisel. We don't sharpen it and slice, slice, slice. This is a pry bar. It's a small scale pry bar. I don't have anything to show right now, but yeah, when you're digging in the wood somewhere, you can pull it in and just pry. You can never pry with the ice ski. You just break the tip of the chisel right off. These ice ski, they slice, they cut. I can't pick this up and go boink, boink, boink. It'll just break off the tip in a second. But this piece is stainless steel. It doesn't even sharpen to a really nice edge. It just sharpens to a shape. But you can pry with it and pick and pick and pick. The wood for the needle tool, I don't even know. It's probably a piece of cherry picked up off the floor. I guess so. It's probably a piece of cherry wood. We get lots of cherry around here. It doesn't matter at all. It's a piece of wood shaped to a little bit of a handle that would fit my hand, hole drilled in the end, tap in the needle, and away you go. It's a totally handmade, jerry-rigged, jury-rigged tool. Well, the tools all get funky as they get older, you know. They really get kind of cool. You use them for years and years and years. They get kind of nice and funky. The handles wear out. You got to replace the handles now and then. Some of this one, I don't know if that's funk or if that's dirt. I don't know. It's probably dirt from my hand that builds up, you know. I don't know. Yeah, it's probably just dirt. I don't know. Okay, let me get back to it here, bit by bit. Where was I? There's no specific rhyme or reason to this. I'm just moving around the wood bit by bit here, clearing out bit by bit. It is against the grain. It really wants to go this way. Is it focused? I can't see. I guess so. I need my water. I forgot to get my water. Hang on a sec, excuse me. Oh shit. Excuse me for drinking on stream. Today's stream is brought to you by, I think it's the same thing you had the other day, I think. Can you read it in Japanese? Skiri. Sukishirete fruits ole. It's even got English. 7 Premium is ever evolving, more tasty, more affordable, soft drink. Can we get that? Fruits ole. Fruits milk. Milk fruits, whatever. Today's stream is brought to you by There was another interesting episode yesterday. A guy came in. I don't know. This is funny. People come in, look around, and leave. And of course, not everybody buys prints. Of course, it's a shop now. Different experience from before when we were upstairs. Upstairs, really, most of the people who came in knew about us. They came looking for us. Blah blah blah. Now there's lots of people who are just walking on the street. They see us and they're wandering randomly. So look around and leave. So, we greet them, whatever. We don't hang around and hover over people. Yes, may I help you? we just, say hello or something and leave them alone for the most part. If they want help, we, of course, stand by to answer questions and stuff. Whatever, this gentleman came in, poked around, and I left. Then a few hours later, or whatever, sometime later in the day, the same person come in. I managed to remember it, didn't know his name or anything, but I said, "Oh, hello again, hi, welcome back," And he looked around a bit more, and this time he had a shopping bag with him. He'd done some shopping somewhere else. And he's sort of a little bit hesitant and whatever. I didn't know what's going on, but at some point he came up to me and said, "Do you mind if I, can I show you something and ask your opinion about it?" And I'm like, "Sure, whatever, what have you got?" And he says, "Well, I just got, somewhere else, I just got this woodblock print, but they didn't seem to know too much about it, so can you maybe help me figure out what it is?" It's okay, I'm game, I don't care, whatever, it's good fun. He had purchased an item somewhere down the street, not at another woodblock print shop, but at one of the the real tourist junk shops. There's a few here down the street. There's one that's a bit notorious, the old guy who runs it. He gets books about woodblock prints, like a normally offset published book about woodblock prints, cuts the book up and cuts the pages out, puts them in sheets and sells them for 500 yen each. Japanese woodblock print designs is what he calls them. Whatever, somebody buys it. I'm not here to patrol the world or to police the world. I don't care. If somebody's in Japan who wants to spend 500 yen on a book page, that's it. Go for it. But what he had also got there was, he opened it, and it's a plastic little package with a card, cardboard or whatever. And on top of that, there are 2 woodblock prints, stuffed left to right. And what it was the dealer out there has taken an old Japanese book, cut the threads apart, taken the pages, matched them up, and put them in these packages, and he's selling them. Original Hokusai print, 1804. I think it was 4,000 yen or something like this. So whatever, I told the guy what it was. I said, "Yeah, it's a real woodblock print. It really dates from the old time. There's no lie there. That's what it is." He says, "Oh, great. I thought maybe it was a scam. It looked so cheap. It's a real print." I said, "Yeah, that's a real woodblock print from 1804. And I couldn't resist adding a bit more. There is a bit more to the story, though, if I could maybe tell you and show you what this is. And the guy says, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" So I showed him, we've got some books here that didn't get taken apart. We don't take apart books and stuff. So I showed him what it was. This was an old book from that era that the guy had, destroyed. He had taken scissors, cut it apart, and he was selling it page by page separately. And, the economics, of course, a book that might sell for whatever, $100 in the wholesale market here with 20 pages, if you take it apart by the strings and put it in your little shop there, sell it for $40 each, then that adds up pretty well. You make a super profit on that. We don't do that because it's not in our taste to destroy books. But I showed the guy what it was, what had happened, and he had mixed feelings. He says, "Wow, it's a real woodblock print." He was so amazed to be able to have a real woodblock print from 18 whatever it was at such an interesting price. And it wasn't bothering him too much that it had been an old book. So I guess whatever, there's different ways to look at all this. If you're trying to be super protective of old stuff, don't spoil this, don't hurt it, don't harm it, just keep this all not touched. It doesn't have any meaning for anybody, but as it is, that book was cut up, and a whole bunch of people, a dozen people or so, get a dozen pages. They're going to have a real Japanese print in their house, So it's, mixed feelings, whatever. Our policy is not going to change. We're not going to break up books, period. But am I on a crusade to go and picket that guy and stop him from doing that? No, of course not. It's none of my business. And we were able to help the guy. Once the guy yesterday, once he knew what was going on, that it was a book, he's kind of like, "What's it about? Can you tell me?" So me and Koizumi-san, we got on Google and started Googling up, all we have is 1 page left from this book, so we couldn't do a whole staggering amount of research here. But we helped him. We found out the name of the book, when it was published, what it was about. And actually it was interesting. It turned out to be a historical fiction based on the life of Musashi Miyamoto, the famous swordsman. And this guy knew the name of that man. He'd read one of the books about him. So he was just super happy. He got a real find. You know? Sorry about the round and round and round. I've got to keep the grain, you know, I've got to work with the grain. I can't work against the grain or it'll chip these pieces off. So I've got to keep going round and round and round. There's no way around it. Not so sure if there's questions here or not. I don't know. I think I gotta move this flask. Excuse me. The flask is hanging a little bit too low here. It should be just a couple of centimeters higher. And it's touching the block. Let me see if I can. Oh, I see the string has been sliding down. Okay. That's dangerous. It's going to fall off. Good shit. Let me hook it up a bit. Do I have any tape? Little tape nearby. Should be okay. There's a question. It's a question, it's a picture. Yeah, similar. It's somebody who's made a tool just like the one I'm showing. It looks good. Yeah, it's a needle with a groove in it and looks pretty much like we've got. What I do with mine, I know that poker, what do we do with it? I've lost it again. What did I do? Eat the damn thing. What I do with mine is you can actually take a file if you've got some specific job that has a little thing that they're all the same. You just file the tool to match what you're doing, you know. Anyway, the person sent me an image that looks pretty much just like mine. Good, go for it, go for it. He's also asking, what is the best European hardwood to use for woodblock carving? And I don't have a clue. It all depends what kind of work you're doing. I know if you're trying to do delicate, detailed, fine work, or if you're doing rough work, or you know, a general question like this, what's the best wood to use for woodblock printmaking? I'm sorry to be vague about it, but it doesn't tell me anything. It means nothing. Here in Japan, because we have a mix of fine line work and flat color work, the Japanese cherry works fine for both of those functions. But if the kind of prints you're making aren't like that, then it'll need a different wood, you know. I can't, I just don't know. Grab a piece of wood, try it. As you get more experience, you'll learn that that particular wood is good or not so good for the particular kind of printmaking you're trying to do. I'm not just trying to cop out of answering. I can't answer what's the best kind of wood. You know. For a beginner, something soft, generally, because you're going to break your tools like crazy if the wood's too hard if you're a beginner. A lot of people start with Sheena plywood because it's just something to get going on and your tools don't break so much. It might be frustrating to use because it'll chip and stuff like that. My first printmaking experiments I'm showing them in that next video that we're still trying to get produced. We're done on maple, and it was terrible. It was rock hard, difficult. The chisels broke all the time, and the wood itself would split and pop and crack. So I learned that for my type of printmaking, maple just wasn't even remotely useful. And since then I've learned that it's not just me, you know, nobody seems to use maple for woodblock printmaking, and I can get why. It's just too brittle and too hard. Cherry is hard but not brittle. It smoothly slices and, you know, slices and cuts. You see where we're getting with this, bit by bit by bit. The area around these islands is coming out. You can see where it's going. I've still got a ways to go. And once it's all cleared, then I will come back as the last step and cut each one of the little black dots. But I'm going to clear out first around everything. The other thing about people asking what type of wood is best in something, as though even if I had a magic word, yes, it's whatever, American cherry or something, whatever, you know, you name your wood. It's almost meaningless to say this because every piece of wood that we get on any given species is so different. The cherry, Japanese cherry we've got here, it's the Yamazakura, Japanese mountain cherry. We're struggling to get good stuff, and this is the wood of choice for hundreds of years. It's beautiful wood for Japanese printmaking, but the stuff on my desk at the moment is junk. So even if I tell you, yes, species X, go get some of that, it doesn't tell you anything because every single piece is different in hardness, in density, and the way it's been planed and dried. It's just such a frustrating thing for me to hear these questions because there's no way I can answer it. It's just experience. Grab any piece of wood. We've said this again and again and again. For your first experiments, grab any piece of wood and try and make it happen. Don't expect your first print to be a masterpiece. Your first print, the purpose of doing it is to get some bit of experience under your belt. It will probably be a total disaster. Mine was. My first print was so bad, I pulled one copy of it, and then within seconds, the print, it wasn't a print, it was a piece of paper with pigment on it. Within seconds, the print was in the garbage can and the wood block was in the fireplace, or in the bin waiting to go in the fireplace. It was an experiment. Time was totally written off, but it taught me a little bit about, that's probably maple, is probably not the best piece of wood to try for this, and that knife might not be the best kind of knife you're using for this, and that kind of paper maybe isn't the best kind of paper. And I moved on to number 2, adjusting the things as I went. I tried a different piece of wood. When it came time to print, I tried a different piece of paper. That first one went straight in the trash. The second one didn't. I'll be showing it in that video that I'm hopefully trying to get out of here this week. So I don't know. Just look on your first experiments as being total write-offs before you even start. Enjoy the process. Get some bandages. You're going to cut yourself. Just enjoy the experimentation. Maybe you're the guy who gets a piece of maple, figures out a way to cut it, and makes some glorious woodblock prints with the wood that I've rejected. You know, there's no one way to do this stuff. Yeah, we're getting there, round and round and round and round and round. Most of these islands are now cleared off, not quite, but a few more. Now this might look like the most boring work in the world, and I guess it's sort of technically boring, but it doesn't matter. It's actually very peaceful and quiet. If I wasn't here chatting with you guys, I'd be sitting here thinking about something else or whatever. I'd have a notepad near to make notes about a programming project or whatever. And bit by bit, the wood gets cleared, millimeter by millimeter, inch by inch, wherever it is. After a while, you sit up and you blink, and oh, hey, there it is, I'm done. No more to carve. It just rolls along nicely and peacefully. At the end of X days, X weeks, you've got yourself a set of blocks, and then the printing challenge begins. Hard piece of wood here, pop. Look at that, whoa, like a stone. This is good. When I put this hunched it down, you can see the area coming up to her hair there. So the hardest piece of wood, I chose the end. Even one piece of wood, we're talking about hardness and stuff. Even within one piece of wood, the hardness will vary across the surface. And I hunched it down on this one so that her face was at the harder end of the piece. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Every time you move it too, you get the light reflecting a little bit different. You can see different shadows, different places to carve off. To get splinters? No, not really. I keep my knife behind my fingers for the most part. And, is this the third or fourth block? This is the third one, right, for the print. The key block is done. It's on the back side of this. We've done one of the seaweed blocks, the one for the green seaweed, and this is the one for the black dots and hair. So this is the third of 8. This is the third of 8. And we should be moving forward now without too much delay towards getting printing done, you know. The one potential really large job that's waiting before the print is, quote, finished is the text. There's a ton of text to carve, but as I said, I'm going to keep that on a separate block. So what I'm probably going to do is save that. You do the other color blocks first so we can move ahead with the printing trials before I get the text finished. Against the grain here. I also had a couple of close calls on this block. You know, my bench is in the shop here, in the open shop. People walk in the shop and the first thing they see is my bench on the right hand side. And before I covered up the key block side of this, I had it open, and if I forget to put the block away, there's this picture right on my bench when people come in the shop. So now that it's covered up, the key block, we're okay for a while with this, but color blocks like this are not visible. There's nothing that shows you what the image is. So but I do have to be careful. Huh? Have we got all of them now? I'm not sure. Let's go down the row here. I think at the other end there's some still not carved up. Yes, this one. One dot all by itself. really easy to chip off. Oh, here's some more. Just another single dot. Oh, here's a big zone. I haven't done this. Talk about Ito-san video ですね。そう。The next ramble video. Oh, I hear noise upstairs. Somebody must have gone upstairs. Here we go. Oh, come on, Hosono-san. そっか。そう、Hosono-san. What's the crew? Kawai-san.
Kawai-san and Nakamura-san.
じゃあ、two girls, two ladies.
Yes.
じゃあ、小泉さんじゃない。
小泉さん。
そうか、そうか。OK。そう、パーティー予約少ないですね。
そうですね。
なんだ。昨日は crazy です。Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy yesterday. レジも予約も。So it's incredible yesterday. So look at the time of the last entry. 最後の何時
8時30分。
そうそう。
I saw the 4時5時.
Ah, soka soka. On Friday.
On Friday.
Did you tape it or something? I saw
I
it.
taped it.
Did you? Good. Okay.
I was a little bit on.
あ、そう。
ちょっとだけ面白かった。
ちょっと今ライブですね。Oh, question. Did you say hello this morning? Come say hello. They saw you come in the door now. You This is where too many cameras in the way. Sorry. So, can you fight your way through? This is Hosono-san. I know she's the daughter of Doi-san, the older guy who works here. You know, collector of mine, print collector. She comes from. You were talking to her upstairs the other day. Remember that was right. Yeah, the lady from Hawaii. So. They're saying Ohayo. Was it yesterday? No, not yesterday. It's
Thursday.
Thursday, so 3 or 4 more days ago. You don't see Doi-san on stream. He's on the Monday crew, but he doesn't get here usually till about nearly 10 o'clock on Monday. So by that time, I'm finished the stream on Monday mornings. But he's not trying to avoid you. Just it's a question of the day's routine. That's all. So yesterday, a couple of days, whatever. Nobody else knows what day it is either. It's not just me. Okay, I'm gonna keep going now. Let me at least get this part cleared up before we finish today here. Oh, there we go. Shut it. That must be Kawai-san. And our day is going to begin. It's a Sunday here in Asakusa, and all signs are pointing to a very, very, very busy day. We don't have so many party reservations, but the outside, it's Obon season here in Japan. It's not exactly in Tokyo. There's no specific dates for Obon, but a lot of companies are closed for Obon holidays. People are going out to the countryside, and for people who don't go to the countryside, they're looking for something to do on the weekend, whatever. Asakusa is prime territory for doing that. So this is going to be a very, very busy neighborhood from here on in for the next few weekends, especially this weekend. It's going to be very, very busy out there. And we found also there's a pattern developing that we've never seen before in August. And I had known about this, but it hadn't really affected us so much. Over the past few days, the past couple of weeks, I guess, we've had a huge number of people from France and Belgium. And I didn't really think much of it at first, but then when I asked them, they say, yeah, whatever, the whole country's on holiday. Everybody takes their vacations at the same time, you know. And it's no exaggeration. Every second group that comes in here is either from France or Belgium or the Netherlands. So. Which is in, which is out here. That's in, that's out. Bad grain in this corner, very difficult to work with. Morning. against the grain. Get it cleared first. Okay, I think that's our groove done. It seems to work pretty well. Let's zoom out and have a look at what we've got done here for the past hour. Let's zoom out. Okay. You can see what's going on. There's a block. Her hair mass is going to be on this block. A couple of octopus eyes. Lots and lots of black dots. To this side, what I did yesterday is I cut around just to rough out around each of the black dot areas. The dots themselves aren't carved yet. Shh, close enough. And today we used the chisel to rough out the outside and clean up against the dots. And when all of this is done over the whole face, I'll go back and do the final cutting of the actual dot shapes. Of course, lots of this will come out too. This will be all part of the C. This will be whacked out with a larger chisel. That's the way the work goes. What was it, an hour and a half today just to get that part done? That's okay. That's a pretty good time, I think. Another hour and a half for this one over here, maybe. This is maybe a day's work to do a block like this if I had nothing else to do, just to sit and work on it. The blue block fell down. Just give me a second here. Nakamura-san, hello, hello. Ready for a busy day? Ah, soka, soka. First time together. Wow. Soka. Yeah. Because of the summer schedules mixing up here, these two have never actually worked together before, so it's the first time they've seen each other. So. Can tube watercolors be used for printing? Yes, for early experiments, no problem. Tube watercolors just work just fine, no problem. For production work like ours, no, they fail in a couple of places. One is they have substances mixed in with them that we don't know what they are. Quite often they have gopher, white powder mixed in, which makes them less transparent. And when you print them over black lines, the black lines don't show. And my own experience, when I did my first testing about 35 years ago or so, I did some testing with powder pigments and watercolors, and the watercolors have faded much more quickly. So I don't trust them. But using it for first experiments, it's a quick, easy way to get stuff onto the block to print and to try. So all my first stuff was done with tube watercolors, and I got through it. So start with that, it's okay. It's an easy way to do. Don't forget, you can also mix them too. Don't stick with just what's in a tube. Okay, it's nearly 9:30. I got to get out of here. It's going to be one long Sunday here. The schedule tomorrow, I will be, I believe, right here working on this block. I think I've killed most of the sizing requests from the staff. I'll have to do some more later in the week, but nothing this weekend. So tomorrow's stream should just be more exactly what it is. It'll start with some noisy clearing and move ahead to some quiet clearing. Nothing special going on. Thanks for hanging around, gang. I've got to get busy out into the shop. Thank you again. See you tomorrow. Or not. These guys are noisy. Okay, here we go. Thank you. Bye-bye, and see you tomorrow.